What is up, guys? It's Satori here. Today we're going to be going over the list that I ran during the Card and Magical Regionals, which is Beelzemon. Beelzemon is a deck that is all about gambling, but you have to gamble in more smarter ways, where you're able to use cards where you're able to manipulate the deck and manipulate what you are trashing. But the nice thing about this deck is that you're able to have more flexibility, whether that be going towards more a rookie rush style kind of gameplay, or if you want, you can go up these single stack. With this deck here, there's so much you can do that depending on the opponent, that you're able to kind of change your style just on the fly here. Without further ado, let's get into the list here. Starting off with the eggs, we got 4 of the ST6 Pokemon here. Honestly, I prefer Pogu over the Yaman, not only just because I'm able to get that on deletion with my level 3s very early on, but also allows you to combo with some of the other decks, whether that be with the Balmon or even with the starter deck Beelzemon. It allows you to do so much that allows you to catch your opponent off guard, and so I definitely think Pogu is definitely the way. I am also gonna probably try to use the Pogus as well in BT12. I think that just overall, I think it is the much better egg going into BT12 just because, again, of that combo potential. So going into our level 3s here, we have 4 of the starter deck Impmons from the new advanced starter deck. You got 4 of the EX2 Impmons, and then 4 of the BT2 Impmons here. The BT2 Impmons is pretty much self-explanatory. You want to be able to see this Impmon very early on because it allows you to get that on deletion trash top 3. It allows you to hit those thresholds because you do want to aim for those 20 cards in trash to be able to activate, whether that be the Impmon, when be able to get the extra 2 memory when you go into the just the Beelzemon, because most times getting that 2 extra memory allows you to keep turn, but as well it allows you to be able to activate some of the other effects to be able to get more of that wide board situation, or it's able to be able to get some of the board control effects, whether that be through the blast mode, through the trashing. For the EX2 Impmon, again, it's kind of the same situation as the BT2, allows you just to get more trashing, but as well, you do get the on play where you're able to search that Beelzemon. You're able to get those Ayamakos. Definitely a card that I like to play early. Not only just to be able to get those Ayamakos early, because you definitely do need Ayamakos, because that's what really kind of like makes this deck explode, because you definitely need to be able to manipulate what you're trashing in order to get the most value. But also, when you are doing the search, you are able to get that that insight on what you have in your deck, and at least it kind of gives you an understanding like, oh, I see a bunch of these things going to the bottom. I know that I'm going to be seeing these cards later on, because you go through your deck so quickly that it allows you to, once you get to that mid, once you get to that late game, it allows you to kind of change your change your game plan right on the fly, as long as you're able to understand where those cards are going to be coming and what time they're going to be coming out. The ST14 Impmon here, the new one here, honestly one of the best Impmons that we could get. Not only are you able to pop any of those memory blockers with the inheritable, just because if you do see like that Gazi, if you do see that Medoki, for instance, you definitely slows down this deck a lot because you gain so much memory, whether that be from the trashing through your options or even from the started deck Beelzemon. It's a nice easy way of being able to delete them, because your other deletion options are a little bit more expensive, and so having this Impmon here with this the deletion effect through the inheritable is quite nice. But also you do get that warping effect where if you do have 20 or more cards in trash, able to digivolve into the Beelzemon from trash for a cost of 3, so you're able to go to that starter deck Beelzemon to be a little bit more aggressive. But also, you get that flexibility where you're able to go into the EX2 Beelzemon if you want to have more of that control aspect. So those are level 3s here. going into our level 4s, we have 8 level 4s. We got 4 Witchmon from the ST14 deck, and then as well you do get 4 of those 4 promo Wizardmons. For the Wizardmon, mandatory 4 of allows you to gain that memory, allows you to be able to extend your turns, and allows you to extend your plays. But also you do get that inheritable when attacking, where when attacking, when you reveal a purple card from your hand and place it on the top of your deck. So again, you're able to get that deck manipulation, but also it is a way to kind of stop yourself from milling out. It's also really nice because when we get to our level 5s, we actually run the BT10 Beelzemon, and so when attacking with the Wizardmon, it allows you to be able to manipulate your deck, manipulate your trashes a lot more. I guess more easier, because for the Imako it is when Digivolving, so it's just another nice way of manipulating the deck. And then for the 4 of Witchmon here, this is what allow you to be able to get those trash effects in the early stages of the game. Honestly, this is like one of the cards I would love to see right at the start, outside of just like Imako and like another Impmon, just because for that trash 3 you're able to set up that trash very early on. But again, it's as long as you have that Imako, you're able to just dump cards from your hand, and depending on what you have, it allows you to explode straight out of the gates. Also, a nice +2, really nice early on, especially because especially when you first night, you have the opponent has Death X, you have like cross 7, which is like Death X is 15, cross 7 is 13. So especially right now, they don't really want to die, because every card in the deck is so important that if you do lose a stack, you do lose a lot of momentum, and it's very detrimental to this deck here. Going to level 5s, we got 2 of the BT10 Beelzemon that I was talking about earlier, and we have 3 of the ST14 Beelzemon. I know for the level 5s, I know you can be a little bit more flexible. I used to do 4 of the ST14 Beelzemon, 1 of the BT10, just because for the ST14 one, you are able to get the trash 3, which is really nice, because if you start at 2, and then you play the Beelzemon here, put your opponent to 1, there are opportunities where you are able to hit those wizards, you are able to hit those Death Slingers, which allow you to keep turn, which is really nice. But there are certain situations where you don't have another play to go into once you go into the Beelzemon, and so sometimes going into the BT10 one is really nice. I also really do like the BT10 Beelzemon, because in certain matchups, like whether that be Mastemon or even the second security control matchup, the Beelzemon is a nice way to be able to get consistent trashing, but as well you are able to not really invest too much into that single stack here, because most times for your opponent, they really don't want to be able to pop the Beelzemon here, because they're going to have to find a second way to be able to pop that Beelzemon that does come out. And so most times this Beelzemon here will get so much value, just trashing 3 cards next turn, trashing another 3 cards, and with that Wizardmon, again, as I mentioned earlier, you'll be able to just dump a lot of your cards from your hand, be able to use those trash effects very consistently. For our level 6s, we got 1 of the ST14 Beelstar, we got 2 of the new starter deck Beelzemon, and then we got the 4 of the EX2 Beelzemon. Honestly, for the EX2 Beelzemon, you have to run this out of 4 of, just because it adds so much flexibility to the deck. It allows you to be able to just go wide so early on in the game. I know there during round 6 on the Cartomagica stream, there was, I think it was during my game 2, I put one on the top of the deck with the Imako, and then when Digivolved into the Witchmon, trash 3, I hit the one off of the one I placed on top, and then I hit a second one. I was able to play 2 Impmons, and so I was able to have a wide board. I think it was on turn 2, maybe turn 3, where my opponent only had the one Tamer, the one, I think it was a Taiki. And so there's certain situations like that where if you hit these early on, your opponent doesn't really have many answers other than, unless they're playing like a Crimson Blaze, to really stop the flow of mass Imps coming out of your trash. Also, EX2 Beelzemon's really nice because it allows you to, again, you're able to get play more of a control kind of style and be able to pop, whether that be something like the memory blockers, even just blockers itself like the Beelzemon, but late game you're able to pop any just big body that doesn't have a protection. Really nice and really consistent with that build too. You got the two of these starter deck Beelzemon. Honestly, I wouldn't really put more than two, just because early game, unless you happen to mill a ton on like turn 1, turn 2, this card is kind of okay. I would rather just go into the EX2 Beelzemon if I had to pick one early on, just being able to control the board as much as possible. But the security attack +1, super fantastic, allows you to kind of sneak away games without your opponent realizing, because if you are able to hit that 20 early on, not only will you get that just the memory game, but as well going for the 2 checks, digivolving into the blast mode, unsuspending, going for another 2 checks is really scary. And one of the other things you do have to take in consideration for this card here is that the memory gain is all turns, and so if your opponent doesn't realize that and you have a way to trash cards on your opponent's turn, you have a high potential of your opponent passing turn to a point where you're able just be able to swing and go for game. And so this card is really nice. I think that with this card here, once people kind of start understanding how the deck works, that if you do go to this early, people will find ways to be able to pop it. And then the one Beelstar here, honestly, I love this card so much. I know when I first was playing this deck here, or playing the card here, I didn't really like it, but you have to kind of find those situations and be able to understand how this card works, because this would really help you close out games. And if you don't understand how to kind of play with this card, it makes you closing out games so much more difficult. I will say though, one of the things you do have to watch out for is the cost reduction effect. I know for newer players that will be playing this deck, I know that you will kind of hyper focus on trying to hit that 30 cards in trash just to play for 1. And honestly, sometimes in late game, when I have those 30 cards in trash, playing it for 1 feels really nice, because it allows me to go for that game ender. But you have to be able to set that up properly, where you're able to have that starter deck Imon on the back, or you have that still on the board, where you're able to swing with the starter deck Imon, digivolve into here for the 4 or for the 3, gain the memory, get this security attack +1, and then from the Beelstar effect, play out another starter deck Imon. And if this one dies, at least you have another one in the back to just reuse that Beelzemon. Or if you have another one in trash, you can just have 2, and then whatever one happens to live, you can just blast mode for game, right? And so you can get pretty much 5 checks just from that one get-go. So I think the Beelstar, definitely an MVP of the deck. I love this card so much. Honestly, there's times if I have 20 cards in trash, it's early on, I know my opponent can't pop it, I'll just play it for 5. Honestly, if I have my Balmons just chilling there, I have nothing else to do, and it's like a faster matchup, I'll just play this for 3, because anytime my opponent swings, I will you trash the top card of your deck, and with that, not only will you be able to play the Imon from trash, but as well, if you hit like those Death Slingers, you hit like the blast modes, you're able to control the board, but there's also, you're able to pass turn potentially. So definitely Beelstar at 1. I am thinking of playing it at 2, but definitely 1 is really nice. For level 7s, 2 Beelzemon blast modes from the starter deck. A nice control card, able to just pop level 3s and then increase it by 1 for every 10 cards in trash. Really nice. Allows you to be able to get rid of blockers and try to go for game. But also your Blitz Omni, you can run it at 1, but sometimes this card gets stuck in security, and if your opponent doesn't check you, then it makes the games a lot more difficult. So I definitely say, as of right now, 2 blast modes is really nice. You can try the EX2 blast mode, but I found that it's kind of clunky, because you have to find ways to get this card into your out of your hand into your trash, which I guess you can use Imako for, or even the Wizardmon and Heritable. But if you are going to be playing this card, I think you do have to play that EX2 Imako to be able to get around this 6 cost here. Going on to Retainers, I just run 4 of the Imako. I don't really like playing the EX2 Imako just because it feels a little more clunky, because I want to be able to use a lot of the memory that I get, because most times, honestly, you're going to be put to 1. But even if you are put to 1, you are able to do a lot, especially if you do have these Imakos. And so I didn't really need the memory setter at all. I was able just to kind of get around that just with using here, because you do get the memory when you do Digivolve into any purple card when you suspend it. But honestly, the best thing about this card, not only is that you do get that deck manipulation, but you also do get that top 4 search, where you're able to get pretty much any of your Digimon outside of your options. And so it allows you to find those missing pieces, because sometimes you might be missing a level 3 to put in the back just to get the extra draw. Sometimes you might be missing that Witchmon, you might be missing that Wizardmon just to be able to go the stack here. And so with the Imako, you want to be able to see that help with that consistency. And so definitely, I think that Imako is a definite 4 of. Going into the options here, we got 3 Darkness Waves from the Mastodon starter deck. You got 1 of Calling from the Darkness, you got 4 of the Rivals Barrage, and then you got 4 of the Death Slingers here. Death Slingers you have to run a 4 because, again, we don't have a memory setter here, and so you need to gain as much memory as possible during your trashes to be able to extend your plays. So Death Slinger at 4 is the way to go. But also, it's a nice, cheap removal, especially later down in the when it comes to the mid game and the late game. You're able to pop like level 6s, sometimes level 7s, just for a 4 cost, which is really nice. Sometimes when you are going to be using the Imako to manipulate your deck, sometimes you don't really want to put this on the top, just because you might want to hold on to 1 or 2 in case you see a big body. And so if you do want to gain the memory, I definitely do recommend you using the Wizardmons, because with the Rivals Barrage, with the Calling, you are able to get that Wizardmon back, and so you're able to have that recursion, whether you need it for more memory gain down the road, or if you need just a level 4, it makes it a little bit easier than just using the Death Slingers as your memory gain. For Rivals Barrage, again, you get that recursion. I used to run it at 3, but I found that there's so many times where I was missing I might be missing a piece or 2, and I had sometimes you would see like 3 in security, sometimes you only see 1 in trash, and you just kept bonding decking the other 2. And so I think running at a 4 of, just being able to have that flexibility of having more bombs in your security, but also able to find getting that the trash, being able to get that delay effect, makes this card so flexible. And it's also the only way where you're able to get those Imakos from trash, because you definitely need to get at least 1 Imako on board, because if you don't, you're going to have so many cards in hand that you want to have in trash, because in my honest opinion, once you start getting to like 8 cards in hand, even just like, I even say like maybe like 5 to 8, you really kind of slow down momentum. And so being able to just pull the Imako, be able just to dump a lot of those cards, and just being able to get those effects, it's really nice. I think a lot of my games during the tournament, I got to maybe like turn 3, turn 4, I would just have like 3-4 cards in hand, because just using the Imakos just trying to get the most out of my effects to be able to pop off, be able to just overwhelm my opponent at early stages of the game. One calling, again, just more recursion. It's also a nice way to be able to pop any your Digimon with undulations for a low cost, but you want to be able to have that flexibility of trying to just pull whatever you need at any point in time, and so I definitely think one calling is really, really nice. 3 Darkness Wave. This is definitely a interesting card. I used to run the Miss Memory boost, but I found that it's, for my personal opinion, it feels a little clunky. Yeah, you do get that draw, but if you're trying to go more for the trash effect, then it doesn't really do much. Sometimes if I have that 2 extra memory, it kind of just sits there until like later parts in the game, and so I swapped it over to Darkness Wave. Honestly, at any points of the game, just trashing for 1 felt really, really nice. Even if, let's say I was a 0, wanted to put my opponent on 1, I would just Darkness Wave for 1. But I will say, if you are going to do that, you want to make sure that you have a second play in your back pocket, because you have to be able to understand that if I am going to play this card, yes, I could put my opponent to 1, but there is a high chance I might gain a memory. And so if I go back to 0, do I have a second play? Because you want to get the most value out of your cards, and if you have to pass turn without doing anything, you're now a turn slower, to a point where that 1 turn that you had to pass might be the reason you lose the game. And so you definitely want to make sure that you have a different kinds of line of play in case you do gain that memory. But also, one of the other things that this card that actually might kill you because of the security effect, it activates the main effect, which again is that trash 3. And so when you are going through your deck, whether that be through your trashing effects or even doing your search with your Ayamako or your EX2 Impmons, you want to be able to kind of calculate, okay, how many Darkness Waves have I seen? And once you kind of get back to the top of the deck with your trashing effects, with your search effects, if you realize that like, oh, I have no Darkness Waves in hand, I have 1 in trash, that means I have 2 in security. And so you have to understand, okay, there's a point in time I'm going to trash 6 cards. If at any point in time, if I trash 6 cards, will I be able to survive? And so you want to just have that understanding that once you have to figure this out very quickly, and so it allows you to kind of stop trashing at early stages of the game to anticipate this card coming out of security. So that is the deck list here for today. Definitely do want to shout out all the Canadian players, whether that be from like the Brick City community, from the Haven community. Also do want to shout out Team GG, and I definitely do want to congratulate the one person who I lost to in the finals, who also happens to be my friend and teammate Pink, and so congratulations to him again. I also will say, if anybody is in the Mississauga area and you're from Toronto, definitely do check out the GG Gaming Cafe. We do hold tournaments there on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock. And so not only will you be able to see myself, but you're also able to see the champion himself, Pink. And so if you do have the time, definitely do check out GG Gaming Cafe. But that's everything for today. If you guys do have any questions, feel free to leave any comments in the comment section below. If you want to kind of learn what are like the optimal starting hands, if you want to learn something like the different lines of play, feel free to ask that if there are a lot of questions, because I know this deck is very, I guess you could say it's very rewarding, but also it takes up definitely a lot of time to understand the deck itself. And so if you do have any questions, and there's a lot of them, I might make a second video to explain that. But with that, thank you for watching. Have a great day.